I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich. Creek. Hello everyone, welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Joining me to talk about some, well, rather interesting stuff I'm sure, is Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups?
Trups is okay. It is Friday, and as appropriate, the rain has come.
It's been freaking hot over here. It's been...
It's been hot as shit here too. But you know, there's a joke that some people will tell you when you live in this area of the country, which is basically just any place in the South.
Well, you are America, and everything's the South, unless it's a few of the more progressive states, apparently.
Truly. Well, basically, what it comes down to is, I think the joke that one of my coworkers told me was, "What comes after 2 days of rain?" And the answer is Monday.
That sounds about right. I often found for me it was less. It's less that. It's more for me. You replace rain with headaches. Because if I have time off, what do? You get a headache because body just.
Knowing you, absolutely.
It's a dickhead. It's all right. Mm-hmm. I have most of tomorrow off, so I'll probably get a headache. So I'll drink.
Lovely. That will help your headache, certainly.
It will help because it'll be my dear friend Johnny of the blue kind. While we put Johnny of the black kind on our tomahawk. It's gonna be a great day. Where would you like to start today? Oh, actually, no. Before we do, thank you to everyone that's been listening to us over on Spotify. Trups and I have taken the liberty of recording the audio on Audacity. I then get sent the copy from Trups' end, and I do my sexifying of it, as Bering would call it on YouTube. He said that to my audio once, and he couldn't fix it. It was hilarious. Hi Dave. He I learned my lesson from that and improved my audio quality, and we have done that here, and I've put them on Spotify because an RSS feed which auto uploads it there. If you would like to listen to a improved quality of this, please consider following us there, because we are improving things, people. It worked. Yeah. It was a punt, and it worked. I actually sent Trups a message once I'd got his audio and aligned it with mine, and after boosting it a little and doing a bit of, effects, it sounded fantastic. Yes, we're very happy with this. Please give us a follow. We would like to keep putting them there anyway, because it costs us money, all right?
Yes.
So where would you like to start today?
Well, I guess the easiest thing to talk about would be the thing that I have just mentioned, which was that Kamala Harris, just today, has been announced by the Biden administration to be the new AI czar, in charge of maintaining and overseeing the regulatory process as AI grows.
I don't get that.
And you and I had the same exact initial thought.
Yes.
Which was
how do you put someone in charge of artificial intelligence when they don't have any biological intelligence?
Yes.
The thing with Vice President Harris is a similar thing to Biden. you don't really we don't see or hear much of them. When Trump was president, we heard every tabloid in this country was talking about him. Yes, okay, it was all negative, but in the context of the president, actually, it shined there was a positivity for positive because it shined a light on your system and how flawed it was. Now you've got some crypt thing in office and some functioning moron. You can choose which one's which, but I think we both know who I'm referring to. We don't hear much at all because apparently the message has to be suppressed to an extent to the point where we don't actually know anything. We know that Vice President Harris is a moron. We know this from the debates when she got utterly annihilated by Tulsi Gabbard. I'm sorry, but Gabbard should have been the running mate, but she wasn't progressive enough. You've got a moron in charge who kept people on death row and used labor camp stuff. Was it labor camps? Was it the chain gang stuff?
Yes, it was prison labor that they used to help fight fires.
Like, that feels like a violation of human rights. Like, this is a valued sacrifice. There's no such thing as a in this. I will admit, I could be a massive cock about this and say, oh, this is absolutely fine because they lose their human rights. But no, they still have human rights, and that is a violation of them.
Yeah, honestly, like, look, if they're not bad enough to kill them, meaning they've just done something at such a level that they just cannot be reintegrated into society, then you don't get to strip them of their humanity.
I agree. And I would say that there are a number of groups that I would say qualify. I would say anyone that supports Arsenal Football Club, anyone that talks in a movie theatre, and anyone that doesn't like the TV show Friends. Because you suck, and you all deserve to be a part of a chain gang for life.
Oh, well, all right.
One side of this audience.
That works.
If people on Spotify are going to hear this later, I have a friend next to me, and I promised we weren't going to like introduce him at all. It turns out I'm shit at that. But yeah, I think that the idea of putting someone in a czar. By the way, just to think, right? You're coming to election season, yeah, in your country, same as mine.
We're about to be, yeah.
Right, same in my country because we've had local council elections today, and Conservatives got annihilated. Straight up. And we'll talk about that soon, I promise, along with coronation, which is tomorrow. I think that I think that you're coming up to election season. You've given your vice president a fancy new title. What does it actually mean, though? Like, what does it do? What can she do with it? A czar for it? I'm sorry. There are only certain types of czars we find acceptable. They're Russian or drinking. All right. And for that to make sense, Russia had czars, and I use drink czars on stream to pick my whiskey for the stream. They're the only acceptable czars. Follow me on Twitch, everyone. Twitch.tv/Omegon. Or the real Omegon, sorry, to get it correct, because some dickhead has Omegon already. You don't. It's a very corporate America thing, isn't it? You've given someone a title, but what does it mean? If it means nothing, it's corporate America. It means absolutely nothing. It's just buzzwords that make you sound more important than you actually are. That's what I think.
Yes, that sounds about right, honestly.
It's a bit embarrassing, really.
Because basically what all like this brings to the table is that now I know that our future in AI is fucked.
So I want to add something to that. Because there's an obvious joke here. She's the czar of artificial intelligence. I'm assuming that's the version of Biden's brain that they've already uploaded to the Matrix.
Sure, probably. That would make sense.
Yeah. Maybe she's the one. There are comments about that, but in reality, there isn't much in the way of artificial intelligence right now that is usable, that isn't being absolutely appropriated to put people on deepfakes or make people look like they've said something they more than likely didn't say. Or let's say, take a picture of Michelle Obama stood next to Barack Obama when they're younger and make her look like Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's mean.
It's a fantastic photo, though. I think I've got it somewhere. I wish I'm have to show it to you after the stream. It's very funny. It's just not not Jazzy Jeff being thrown out of the Bel Air mansion, which would be even funnier, I think. Because Mr. Banks was cool. But yeah, the title was nonsense. I don't see the point in it. We don't have one here.
Neither do I.
We don't have one here, but that's only because we had czars for other things like COVID, which is a strange one to be a czar of, but all right.
Yes, and also I'm sure it was very useful, and it worked out great.
I'm sure it did, which actually does tie into something over here, because I saw it earlier via someone I follow on Twitter that, according to the BBC, COVID-19 global health emergency is over more than 3 years after being declared, says the World Health Organization. It took them 3 years to say this.
I'm so glad we paid them.
So it's a funny thing, really, because people have spoken about, in our country and many about the death rate for COVID. And we've had, obviously, when it happened, you and I spoke about that, and we said that the death rate, as high as it was disingenuous because it didn't take into account those who died of other causes that they sought to then lump in as if it was caused by COVID. So say you died of a heart attack that was somehow attributed to COVID. Say you died of sepsis. Oh, but you had COVID, so it was COVID that got you. Oh, you sneezed too hard and popped a bollock. No. COVID got you.
Yeah, and that happened actually.
You had COVID.
That happened like a lot. Like more than even our respective locations are even admitting to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have instances where everything from a person died from a motorcycle accident to
that was COVID. Yep.
To we'll just call it selective reporting.
Yes.
On who has COVID and who is the cause of what death.
So that's another point, because the World Health Organization say 7 million approximately died in the pandemic, but you have others that estimate the total to be closer to 3 times that, at 20 million. The death rate was, I remember seeing that in the UK, in Europe, it was insanely high because they were behind the UK on the vaccines, which were tested quite amusingly. Yes, I'm so happy to have that in my system. It doesn't at all worry me that my life expectancy may have been cut worse than if I hadn't taken, as if I would have done less damage taking up smoking. Apparently, all right, I'll have a good chuckle at that at a later date.
I'm a smoker, and I have similar concerns.
You're a smoker. I never would have guessed with that hookah you have.
I was going to say, can't you hear it in the background? Slow rumble.
Not this time, no, but I'll probably hear it on Audacity later. I thought I'd mention the COVID thing because I saw it on Twitter and put it on our server. I thought that's interesting because you've got conflicting sources on this. The World Health Organization are considered like the pinnacle of that area, aren't they? Problem is, their source, mid-source, if you go to where they update their sources that are cited, are kind of shit, and also end up in circles with people only that they credit, and no one else that actually contests them within it. They don't have, they don't abide opposing perspectives or perspectives that may make things seem worse than they actually are, which I find quite chuckle-worthy because they're a bit cringe.
Well, it's even some of the WHO actually had attempted to basically grab all of the rights from all individual countries recently. In the wake of a lot of this stuff that went on with COVID, they actually tried to pass a international agreement in which if there ever was another large scale issue, that they would be the sole deciders on policy and prevention measures.
The arbiters. Oh my life.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
it's only because I remember a creator in the past, in his response videos, he would say to someone who provided no sources to back up their claims, "Oh, arbiter of truth, tell me more." That's the only reason I know that word. Okay. Otherwise, I don't.
I played Halo.
I've not played Halo.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really odd thing in my lifetime. I'm not it's an Xbox game, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. So the guy next to me, if I were allowed to speak, you're not allowed to speak. He can nod his head though and agree though that I didn't really own Xbox consoles. He is shaking his head. I had a 360. It was cracked, but it was barely ever touched. And I've got an S series, but I still barely use it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a PlayStation person, or
Fair
handheld console person. Why am I doing this?
True.
No one can see me hand gesture. I feel like Tony Blair. If you ever watched Tony Blair's speech, he always does all these
I try
hand
not to.
gestures. He does all these hand gestures and he gesticulates with hands a lot. I'm doing this now, talking to a fucking microphone, with someone watching me do this, realizing I could look like someone who has schizophrenia doing this.
Ah, quality. Well done.
Make it make sense.
I cannot.
Okay. I thought I'd mention the COVID thing because it tied in a little bit to something. It was like a tangent I could just sort of insert randomly. I found it fascinating regardless because it's rather it's interesting to see how it's taken this long. But in the UK, that article isn't on the homepage of any website. It's just you're looking at the election thing, aren't you? Yeah, no. It's sort of just been put out there, but it's not been promoted out there. And that's the thing with it. That the only reason people were willing to talk about COVID when it happened was the number of deaths. Sometimes it was 100,000 in a week. Like that was how many they claimed had died of COVID. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But now it's dealt with. There's not really much coverage saying, by the way, folks, things are all right now. You can.
Are you sure?
I still have a couple of the face masks left, but the ones I've got, one is a Joker one that I got. The other one is one that a pub got given with a bag of crisps. I'm not even joking. It's literally a mask with from a packet of crisps. I don't know what the company's called actually. It was just the pub got given them and they never used them, so I stole one. I thought it'd be funny to keep hold of it as a memento in its plastic wrapping. Nice little thing of I'll present this to a random kid when I'm older because obviously I won't have kids because that won't be creepy. Here, have a mask, little boy. That'll get on a register, won't it?
Oh, definitely.
Dear.
There will definitely be no concerns.
I'm gonna move on from that because we've got 2 streams in a row monetized. I'd like to see if we can get 3.
That'd be great.
That would be nice. I mean, I make fuck all anyway, so that
I don't make anything either. Anyway,
yes, let's move on. So I noticed there's been a lot of conversation about some law changes in some states concerning transgender people, and I wonder if you'd heard about any of this.
Oh yes, I have. You wanted to keep this monetized, didn't you?
Well, no. I just want to know. Do you know which states this affects?
I mean, there are the ones that people are talking about the most are, of course, Florida.
Yeah, that's the one I'd heard about. I was curious if other states had followed suit at all, or if there was any intention to.
No, probably. I don't think there are many others. If there are, they are few and far between, and I don't pay attention enough to other states that deep. Honestly, the argument right now regarding the trans rights argument has been not only like toxic to even mention.
It has been, hasn't it?
But it's been toxic to engage in if you do. So, I mean, the actual conversations that one would have, let's say you are expressing some sort of genuine concern. You are completely immediately written off because it does not matter. Anything short of the established, rules and the established agenda moving forward is blaspheme. Essentially,
it's you put your hands over your mouth, you lean to the side, and you go haram. That's how you say it. Yeah, I noticed someone I followed and known for years. Her name is Xiaomi. She, I think, is in Florida, and some of the rule changes in that state will include that she now has to go and get changed in the men's.
Okay,
but and that's an interesting one because it's because of the response. She's handled this very positively, I think. Generally, not trying to be I can't say that word. Okay, not trying to bait or cause any undue argument. Just saying this is happening. I'm dealing with it, kind of thing. But I do think that I don't know. It's a strange discussion I found when it comes to the legislature and how society reacts to those changes. And people are getting very angry about Florida making those changes. They're the people who are in other states, thousands of miles away. Like, you don't live in this state, and this culture has voted for DeSantis twice now, I believe.
Yes.
This is something people back in that state. How can you look at Florida and go, oh, Floridians don't believe in this? I'm like, bitch, during a hurricane, Floridians go outside with the American flag and start playing metal music with their hands doing the horn signs. I'm sorry.
I love that fucking video.
That looked like Carrot Top, all right? Is that his name?
That man is a goddamn legend.
He is actually a legend, isn't he? It's one of my favorite videos ever. Just how, I mean, it couldn't have been more American if he didn't have a massive stake in his hand and a gun in the other.
Yeah, well, I mean, or a gun, but like that would be, people would be concerned.
Maybe instead of a steak, a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd allow that. It'd be all right. But that was a fun video.
But yeah, one of the biggest issues right now is that yes, the way that you describe it is very true. Like the individuals who are involved seem to be okay with it. Because if you're not okay with it, you probably have already fucked off.
Yeah, look, don't they migrate away?
Yeah,
you can't resolve the issue.
I mean, right, but like we've clearly seen that that's not how things are going because more people keep moving there. So I don't believe it. I don't believe the hype. People keep saying, "Oh, this is a terrible thing. Oh, all these people." And it's harming everybody. Well, okay, maybe. Could you show me where it's going bad? Because right now everyone appears to be totally fine.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating to see how it carries on in the near future. I know people are still going to be very angry with DeSantis. I assume one of the reasons additionally to lay additional hate towards Ron DeSantis would be the fact that people do believe he'll run for president, and any excuse at this point to rag on any presidential, potential candidate, whether you're Democrat or Republican or Libertarian, is the other one, isn't it?
Yeah. Or
it doesn't matter
anything else in between.
Yeah, sure. Any other party. I'm sure one day you'll get your own monster raving lunatic party. When you finally catch up with us, you'll have a fantastic apex.
But you guys have a very different system.
Yes, you have to get a minimum amount of votes out of the ballot to get your money back at the least.
Basically, you have to fight your way in order to get any kind of appreciation.
We also our councillor system also is sort of that's the opening. Usually, for people to tread the path to become MPs, you start as a councillor. There are some that skip the line, but they're people who have huge financial backing of either unions or very wealthy donors to their party. And I'm explicitly mentioning those two because unions would be Labour, donors would be Conservative. That's not to say, though, Labour don't have massive donors. They just like to pretend they don't exist because they're idiots.
Ah, good.
But that's okay, because when Keir Starmer in this country, he started making some pledges, because he is. I think he wins next year. I think he wins based on what's happened with the local elections, the councillor seats. That's a huge indicator that he's going to win, to be honest. But I also think he wins because they've had 15 years and they've screwed it up. Well, so did Labour before for 13 years. Great. I get by this logic, by the time I am in my 50s, Labour will finally get voted out. It would be great. Not that I'm conservative, just to be clear, I hate them all. No lives matter, everyone. I was going somewhere with this.
Where are you?
Yeah, no. He made a pledge. Keir Starmer made a pledge. That's it. It was a pledge to students. Now, the guy next to me and I remember quite clearly in 2010, a party made a pledge to students to not have tuition fees go up from, I believe, $3,000 a year to $9,000 a year. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I had to get confirmation here from my silent friend. Now, this pledge was made by the Liberal Democrats, a party that was a third party in the Commons. They weren't that big. Okay, they ended up making a coalition with the Conservatives, which is hilarious. Liberals are on the left, Conservatives on the... What the did you think was going to happen? Now, I'll give them credit. They raised the tax bar from 6.5 grand, I think, to near 10 by the end of their term, which meant if you earned less than 10 grand, you weren't paying taxes. And that's great. It's like 12.5 grand now, which is fantastic. It really is. That's actually all right. I'm okay with that. But then taxes went up elsewhere anyway, so it actually balanced out to be not worth it really at all. But one of the things that Liberal Democrats reneged on was that pledge. And tuition fees went up from 3 grand a year to 9, which neither of us felt the pain of because we were under the previous bandwidth. Our tuition fees stayed where it was. Which is hilarious because that meant students were starting while we were finishing, and we were still there, and their rates were 9 grand. They were paying as much as what we paid for 3 years in 1 year, and I'm like, that's they will need a mortgage afterwards, perhaps a debt management plan. Keir Starmer's pledge was to abolish tuition fees entirely in England. Well, he's U-turned on that. He's had to, because even he's not stupid enough to think that would work. It wouldn't work. You have to be more. This isn't like the that forgiveness thing you guys were doing.
Oh yeah, like debt forgiveness.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that because where would the money come from for it? But we'll tax the rich even more. That's what they'll do. They'll tax the rich even more because that works. It doesn't make the rich want to leave the country. No. They won't leave the country, take their money with them. No, they don't do that. No, they won't. They won't move to a tax haven. Why would they do that? No, they pay their fair way. You want to up the rate to, was it 60% or something stupid? I'm sorry.
Probably.
Right. In France, I believe it's 75%. Right? And one of the football players, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I believe his name was, he earned £300,000 or euros, a week after tax, meaning he was earning 1.2 million a week minimum because they had to guarantee him 300 grand, so they had to pay his tax as well. Like the rich want to stay rich, so they'll find a way to make sure they stay that way. And the Conservatives are partly to blame for this because when they did it with the energy companies, they gave the energy companies too much power. Without those controls in place, they are making so much profit now they don't know what to do with the money. And that's true. That's something they have said, and Keir Starmer loves to remind us of this. Problem is, how do you take the power back from those that have far too much power? You don't. You can't. You can't buy back the services, what Labour want to do, because they're investments. How do you invest money if we don't have the money to invest in it? And the only reason we sold them off is because when we were members of the EU, we couldn't maintain them to the standards the EU gave us. Except for the railways. We weren't allowed to, under EU law, to own those tracks or the trains. We can now, but we don't, even though we bail them out every year to the tune of tens of billions of pounds, because they don't make any fucking money. The trains are nice, though. Ish.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're lovely, because they're mostly empty.
The trains run on time.
No, they don't. They do not run on... No, this isn't Japan. These trains do not run on time. No, these trains turn up when they want to. If it says that it'll arrive at, say, 8:45 a.m. to take me to Stratford, then to Norwich, the only train that will turn up on time will be the one that goes from Stratford to Norwich. The one that gets the high-speed rail that will take an hour to get to Stratford will be 10 minutes late, and somehow arrive 20 minutes late, even though it's high speed. Make sense.
I cannot.
It's a joke. But yeah, Keir Starmer started making pledges, and he's already had to renege on one. Yet, because of the results so far, people are starting to think, actually, we might be onto something here, fellas. Keir Starmer might be able to... Hang on, hold up. Ads will run shortly for some viewers. I'm going to skip that because I don't want to hurt my viewers. All 23 of you, hi, smash the like. I'd like to see 23 of those by the time I finish. Thank you very much. For those who are listening on Spotify, I had an ad on YouTube and I've skipped it because I'm not a dickhead. Well, I am, but not that kind yet. Yes. Also, 23 viewers. I'd make less than a penny anyway. No offense to 23 viewers. I'm really grateful, genuinely. He's had to start making... People are starting to realise... Sorry, I knew where I was going there for a second. I'd lost my trail of thought. They're realising that actually what Keir Starmer's doing might actually work to get the blue-collar voters back. Because what Labour are still transitioning out of is this super, very far left progressive rhetoric. Now, there's still plenty of it. They still have a deputy leader who cannot math for the sake of it. I'm not even joking. Her mathematics abilities are as bad as Diane Abbott's.
Really?
What are you doing, Dave? He's looking at whiskey. Okay, right, it's fine. Right, sorry, I just yeah. Right, yeah, no, he hasn't really introduced too many policies yet. So this one already being reneged on and U-turned is not a good sign because he needs the students. Students for Labour are their bread and butter because young people are idealists and Labour like to latch onto that more idealist mentality of right, we can make things. Actually, it just reminds me of Tony Blair. He used to run campaign ads with the song "Things Going to Get Better." It was a really cringe, like '90s song, right? It's got that really. Don't sing it. I'm not gonna sing it. It's just really, and that's how Labour behave. So rather than so the idea of cancelling out or abolishing tuition fees. It seemed clever, but then there's a problem. Problem is, it's the idea that somehow further education or higher education should be free, but it's not. It's not within the core curriculum. Because if you're then going to give university away for free, why shouldn't it be compulsory? Why shouldn't it be mandatory? In our country, up to 16, it used to be the case that after 16, you finish your GCSEs, you sod off and go do whatever you want. Go to college if you like, go to university if you like. Now, you go to college as mandatory. So you're up into school until you're 18 years old. Didn't used to be that way. It is now. But then if you do university, you're doing another 3 years. It implies if it's free, then everyone should... It seems like a natural progression to then make it that it's so that it is mandated. So you're now in education until you're 21. Now, I'm all in favour. I love it. I used to be an ardent believer that academia was the way forward. I used to believe that the only way to succeed is academically. Clearly, as I've been nothing more than a bullshit artist on YouTube for 7 years, nearly 8, thank you, that's not the case. You don't always have to have a high academic background. It's just quite handy that some of us do. Swag well, family. But point is, if you're going to give it away for free, why don't you mandate it then? Why don't you force them to do it as well? And then what degrees are going to be free? Is it going to be all degrees, including the ones that basically... yours is fake. Basically serve no use in the workforce at all? Like, how are we going to do this? So
the other thing is that borders on the idea of communism eventually, because the idea that
it does. You're right.
I mean, if you want to actually break it down objectively, philosophically, for communism to work,
I feel like I'm the wrong person here for that. The guy with the PhD in philosophy next to me is the right person.
That's okay. His degree is not real, and actually, he would probably be killed first.
You are right. His degree is not real, and he would be killed first.
God damn it! I would not be killed first.
But he doesn't serve. He doesn't serve a useful role in society. So a lot of these people who are let's just go with
hi YouTube.
The 5% who want to be artists, right? And they want to be paid by the government to be artists and create art and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you guys are not all that good.
I would argue there's an additional problem as well. Because it's all well and good having an art degree, but currently, based on the current eco people, you're not allowed to appreciate that. So you guys need to get real.
True.
You guys need to save the planet first, mate.
Right, but what would end up actually happening? You would have people who are honestly trained in what we know as trade schools more often than not. So these people would be things like carpenters, like plumbers, like masons.
That's another point as well, because we have seen over the last 10 years more boys and men walking away from academia, higher education especially, not just because the nature of the field or the environment has changed, which does not help them at all when they're constantly told they're not allowed to be men or a type of man, and they're going towards more vocational educational. So they're going to what's the word? Is it kinesthetic? Learn by doing.
I think so.
That's what they're doing instead. They're doing on-the-job training apprenticeships instead, because because apprenticeships offer them a guaranteed job at the end of it, and they're doing things with their hands. They want they want to do like their grandfathers were done because their dads in between were undoubtedly the bitches that were made people really soft. I'm sorry, but you did. I'm sorry. The grandfathers probably weren't as soft, are nowhere near as soft as our fathers were. Not yours.
I mean, accurate. I mean, just in general, yes. That is accurate.
To be fair, mine's quite soft. He's a bit of a doughboy these days.
Well, I mean, hey, look, we can't all age nicely into the abyss, right?
I know what you're talking about. I'm reflection perfection, mate.
Of course.
With huge bags under my eyes.
That's because you don't sleep.
Well, not without medication. You're quite right. And whiskey. Lots of whiskey.
I'm quiet and yes.
Oh, let me have a little clink of that while we're doing it. Clink.
Oh yes. Let me just slurp down some Dr. Pepper.
Yes, your Dr. Pepper is equal to my whiskey this evening. It's Tenjaku.
Yes, well, I have to drive, so fuck off.
You have to drive?
I have to drive to get my wife.
No, I keep forgetting your whammon escaped the house. Anyway.
Yes, she's working.
Perhaps
I have to show you the 308 that she put away on layaway.
You have to show me, yeah. So I'll mention now local elections 2023. These are for council results. So councils... the councils are the constituencies, but at a local level. So the MP represents them, I guess. The councillors... I don't believe councillors even get a salary. They're unpaid workers. I think they get base fees to cover employees, and that's it. Because a lot of them have jobs away from it. But there's a lot of councils. There are a lot, and that makes sense because you have X number of people representing each constituency. You have one MP, but you'll have a certain number of councillors. You're going to look and see if councillors are paid, aren't you? No? Okay, good. I don't want to embarrass myself on air. That'd be great. Totaling, they have lost more than 1,000 councillors. They lost 48 councils, which is constituencies essentially, to be honest. Like mine is one council, but it's the council. It's like it's exactly that. It's one group of people, but they're oh, sorry, I itched you out at the wrong time. Yeah. So while the numbers sound vast, you have to consider that X number is under the banner of one MP. That MP represents all of them regardless. So Labour have gained 527 councillors, and Conservatives have lost 1,000. Liberal Democrats have gained 415. The Greens gained 240. That's bollocks. I don't know who IND and RA are. I don't know who RA are at all, actually. Who are they?
Well, I must say I do not know.
Yeah, it's an acronym I'm not familiar with. But let's see here. Labour gained 22 councils, including Medway, Stoke... Medway's in Kent. Plymouth, Swindon. Oh, Sargon of Akkad is in Swindon, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Conservatives lost some of their fortresses, including Maidenhead and Windsor. Now that surprised me, considering they've always been conservative. They've lost them. Liberal Democrats gained those. My mistake. That wasn't Labour. That was Lib Dems got Maidenhead, which is Maidenhead is the constituency for Theresa May. She was the former Prime Minister, and she's lost it as well. And let's see, they won. The Green Party won their first outright majority on a council in Mid Suffolk, so 25 years ago. Because they're really far back in time. Okay, when Dave drives through there to go home, his car actually converts into a Quattro, as opposed to the whatever it is he drives, a BMW, I think. I don't know. But yeah, they've lost heavily. I do recall seeing Rishi Sunak gave an interview after these results came in, and he seemed to say, "But it's okay, everyone, because we're improving." Lost 1,000 seats. What improvement are you? What are you talking about? Do you think it's improvement that you didn't lose as much as you could have? I kind of wish Boris was still there now. To be fair, Boris was trending as well. Boris was trending. It said, bring Boris back, because alliteration. Everyone loves alliteration. I'll have a commiseration song for this. Boris. Are you chanting Boris? All right, fair enough. Calm down. Yes, so Conservatives lost big. That's pretty much what I wanted to mention. And while it is an indicator of change, I believe it's enough of an indicator that the Conservatives have to do something drastic now. I don't know what, though, or something really big has to happen to their benefit, like going to fucking war or something, to even give them a chance at the next election. And obviously, war is not going to happen. It's not happening. Like, Charles will throw his organic onions at whoever tries to start a war with us. Okay, he'll throw a jar of chutney at them and say, "Oh, get me a cheeky Nando's while you're at it, please. You fucking peasant."
Peasant!
I think I did that wrong because I can't hear it back. The headphones cancel my voice, so I can't tell if I sound anywhere near as pretentious as he does. Oh,
you sounded something.
Oh, I sounded something. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. That's almost like the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I don't know how to describe it otherwise.
That's fine. You have to hear King Charles's voice. Or as I like to call him in Captain's Logs, Old Big Lugs. Charlie Boy and his son, Willie the Third.
So, how is that coronation going so far?
Three Willie. You fuck. I like that. Right, so actually, you mentioned the coronation. The only article I found that came out first was, and it said, "What will King Charles be wearing for the ceremony?" He's going to be wearing layers of gold robes because apparently he's that guy, the Indian guy who wore all the gold shirts and chains. Remember that guy from the memes? The Indian guy wearing the gold shirt. He's that guy, or he's B.A. Baracus. Okay,
why are they?
Mr. T with all the chains. Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen. The heavy and priest-like golden robes that he'll wear. Let's see. He'll put layer upon layer of glittering vestments, some of which were created for his great-grandfather. William will help during the service by placing a ceremonial robe on his father. How the fuck is he going to stand up, holding the orb and the scepter with all this gold on him? He's lucky if his spine doesn't collapse. The man's in his 70s. He said he wanted to do a stripped-back version. Bitch, I didn't think you were going to walk around looking like Ric Flair. If you could do me a favour, just stand on your little throne. Just stand on the chair and go, "You are all twats." Woo! I would love it.
Prince Harry in a figure 4 leg lock.
And stick Prince Harry in a figure 4 leg lock. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, sure, why not?
He will be there anyway. So we've got here. So the robe in question weighs 2 kilos or 4.4 pounds, made with a cloth of gold, silk wrapped in thin pieces of gold or silver gilt metal, and is embroidered with stylized some shit. Okay, I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce because I don't give a shit. Thank you. I have my word czar next to me. But yeah, he's going to look like an absolutely pretentious. I'm sorry, you're doing a stripped back version of the coronation, but you are wearing something that makes. I now know why it's stripped back, because there's no chance anyone's going to outshine you when you walk around like a giant golden dildo. Okay.
What opportunity, though!
Gold member! Yes! Oh, I saw it in the... Okay, Dave just pointed out in the chat. Somebody, Alfonso, has put gold member. Gold member from Austin Powers. Exactly that. I loved Austin Powers. I'm going to have to watch that again. It's cringe, but great. No, gold member. That's a great character by Michael Myers in the Austin Powers movies. In "I love gold." That's all he says. And yes, basically, Charles looks like a massive knob, as if he doesn't already. His ears are ribbed for everyone else's pleasure. Let's see. Does King Charles need a coronation? Is an article I see. That's about it, really. To be honest, there's a little conversation about where was it? I saw it earlier in another article. Here we go. How the coronation day unfolds. Here we go. This will be interesting. So, the celebrations begin at 6 a.m. as.
What?
That's what it says there. British Standard Time. Viewing areas along the route. There we go. You've got a whole route. I can't show it. I wish I. At 10:20, the procession begins. This sets off from Buckingham Palace, moving along to the Mall, to Trafalgar Square, down to Whitehall, Parliament Street. It basically gets to Westminster Abbey. It takes forever. Okay, if you remember watching the Queen's coffin being moved, yeah, that. But happier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but very different theme and general feeling.
And if it's sunny, King Charles has a benefit here that the HMS Victory Oak thingamajiggy carriage thing. I see that there the crown is carved from. It's air conditioned. It's so advanced. How quaint. Let's see. We've got at 11. He enters through the. Oh, okay. So I need to be back from the gym quite early. I'll have to really rush around tomorrow. That's fine. 11 o'clock it really starts. And maybe we'll just do cardio. It'll be easier. It begins. Basically, the coronation begins at 11. Okay. And the article here just carries on talking about what the regalia includes: the sovereign orb, the scepter, and the there's 2 scepters. Yeah, scepter with dove as well. Doesn't he give a rod to his servant, his manservant?
Golden rod.
Yeah, the
black rod.
When there's 2 black rods. There's one that works for Parliament, and there's one that the head of the slaves have. Yeah, the one the peasants. No, the servants. There's a head of those guys, people, and they have a rod. When the monarch dies, they snap the rod because they completed their service, and they give it. It's placed within.
I see.
It's placed with the deceased monarch, I believe, because they've served. They don't get to keep a memento, I'm afraid, unless they get a splinter.
Like a plastic one.
A plastic one with a little spiral, I don't know, some decorations on. Let's see. I don't know anything about these scepters, but let's have a look at this. The sovereign's orb. Holy hand. Okay, it's the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, made for Charles II in 1661. I don't know. I assume that's something to reference faith, since it mentions here the Christian world symbol on the top of the cross. So I assume that's keep his defender of the faith. So I assume that's what that is. So scepter of the cross, kingly power and justice, which has that diamond. Isn't that the cool? Oh, it's not. Oh, it's a different Star of Africa, different diamond. I thought it was the Koh-i-Noor. But there is that. We have that diamond, don't we? That's in the. Yeah, isn't it in the crown? Yeah, I always thought that was a thing from Assassin's Creed. Turns out, it is and isn't. And the scepter of the dove is king's spiritual role. Okay, I know fuck all about that. Wait, he's gonna be holding 2 scepters and he doesn't have 3 arms. He's gonna hang the orb off on his ears or something. What's this nonsense? All right, fine. Isn't the Stone of Destiny? Scotland tried to withhold that. You ain't holding that back from us, you bastards. The Stone of Destiny. So this throne, this coronation chair that he has to sit on, it looks like the most punishing wooden chair I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if they put a hole in the bottom, it looks like a really crap latrine. And it's got graffiti on it. Oh my life. Okay, tell me how much you disrespect the crown when you've etched your name into the chair. A chair that has existed for centuries. And at this point, nearly 800 years. Actually, no more than that. Yeah, no, nearly 900, over 900 years. Jeez. A 900-year-old chair that's got tags on it. Amazing. Right, yeah, so the coronation's happening tomorrow. That'll be interesting.
Yes, quite.
As you can tell, I'm really animated about it because I know sod all.
Well, I wondered about that.
I have to cite an article because I know there's someone next to me who knows a bit about this stuff, but I don't think he knew half the stuff I was looking at either. No, he didn't. He's more of a royal file thing than I am. I don't really pay enough attention. I've seen a lot of people recently argue about whether or not we should have a royal family at all, and I always respond with, they make us a shitload of money. So I take no issue. I take no issue
because...
That was
what we had discussed last week, too.
Yeah. They're a massive part of our culture and our history, and I don't want to change that. I don't want to give up on who we are, because it's just wrong. And I love that some of the people I've seen recently saying that people want to get rid of them, right? They're saying it in a town that has bunting out. Most of the houses, a lot of them have bunting out. And I've seen a lot of green votes and Labour signs for council things, but there's still a load of bunting out. People genuinely are very happy about this. And for us, it's the first chance to ever see this kind of thing. So I want to see it, you know? I know my sisters won't because they don't give a crap, but I do want to see it because it's a pageantry that, well, it'll be the first time we ever get to see that. I wasn't here in 1951. 51? Yeah, 51. Yeah. It was 51, wasn't it?
So it says a lot of whiskey.
Damn. Whiskey. Okay, moving on from that. Is there anything else going on in America you'd like to discuss?
Sure. I mean, we can talk about
Trump in prison yet?
No, but they're trying really hard.
They are.
So I guess we could talk about Russia real quick.
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about that. Oh, all right. So Russia is under attack right now. They're going to ground, about to hit the bunkers because they're happy people and they love to smile for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, apparently, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember because they're like not in my time zone. So like yesterday for me,
they're also not in the correct one, which is my one.
Right. Well, they're just they don't really exist. Let's be honest.
Russia aren't real people. Everyone, you heard it here first.
So what I would say to that is, they started off by saying that it was Ukraine's attempted assassination attempt, and then
on who?
Oh, on Vladimir Putin, of course.
But isn't he? Everyone's been saying he's dying anyway, and he's in a bunker somewhere, hidden away underneath a $200 million mansion. Literally, Bondsville territory. His bunker is underneath a pool.
Yes. However, they apparently he still got a drone somehow made it past all of the defenses that Russia has, all of the Kremlin's defenses, and seemingly crashed or something into like the Kremlin building.
So I saw that video, and my first thought was, did someone just take you've seen those little paper snapper things you can just throw on the floor and they just crack? Yeah. Dragon pop,
yeah,
I think they call them, right? Right. I just thought it looked like that. I was thinking, if that's what you consider an attack from Ukraine, how poorly armed do you think they are? I'm sorry. If I get a slingshot and I launch that hard enough, I promise you, I'm making that shot, right? It looked like a nothing. It wasn't an attack. If it was an attack in Ukraine, they would have hit him with something more impressive. While I'm not a fan of Ukraine at the moment, there are certain things about Ukraine's handling of this that hasn't gone down very well. How they've treated some people who have spoken out against them. There are certain issues. They banned the church. They've done some rather negative things. And we all agree that when it comes to arming people a lot, if it is at a detriment of us, then we aren't able to defend ourselves. Then obviously we have to draw a line. And liberties are being taken, I think, now. It's taken me a while to think that, agree to that, but I think there are being some liberties. But then this attack, Ukraine have attacked in some respects, but those attacks have been vastly more devastating. Like the accidental one in Poland. Yeah, that one.
Yes. Well, they continued with that thought by then saying, well, actually, it wasn't Ukraine, it was America. Okay. So the same thing that you just said about Ukraine probably would have hit them with something a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Is a bit. We'll just increase that thought process tenfold.
2 more days.
Because if America truly wanted to do an assassination attempt the way that they are describing it,
it'd be more impressive.
Oh, absolutely.
Also,
you think we would stop with one?
I just want to say, first of all, there are 2 things to a point. There's two real key points here. First of all, that attack did not come across as an assassination attempt. 2, if you're going to do an assassination attempt, are you going to do it as like that, or are you going to do it properly, and you're going to do it in a more clandestine manner? I would choose the latter. It makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this isn't an assassination attempt at all. You can fob it off as that. Also, you and I, before we started streaming and recording this for Spotify, for those who don't listen, please go give us a follow there. We greatly appreciate it. Yes. We had discussed this and said that if you're going to do that attack on any like that, we didn't call it an assassination attempt at that point. If you're going to do that kind of thing, bless you. If you're going to do that kind of thing, you're going to go all in. Like, you're going to send, what did you call it, a Predator thing? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we got ways. We have ways.
If we want to do something like that, we send one of our Typhoons over there and we just launch a barrage of crap at you. You're not going to like it because it's going to level your building. All right, our Typhoons are incredibly heavy, like missile dense kind of crafts. That's why we didn't give any to Ukraine, because our Typhoons aren't designed for very low ground flying kind of missions. Ours carry vast amounts of payloads, and we fire a lot of it. Think Cyclone missile launcher. That's it. Okay, we've got a lot. We're not designed for those kind of attacks. We're designed to level your buildings. Okay?
Right, and also, I mean, the same could be said about the U.S. Like, first of all, if we wanted to, we would do it a different way.
Yeah. So
I don't want to, so we're not going to.
Yeah. So I had said to you as well before the stream that this cannot be American because while you are in the business of shoot now, ask questions later, that's the running joke for years. Often in military, what I've always noticed is that it always seems to be you only ever act after the fact, and that might not be the case.
We usually announce it.
Yeah, and I think there's a point to that because if you make it clear your intention is to intervene, or interfere, people stop because they know that you guys, you built your country on an economy of war.
True.
And that's what made your country as big as it is. You are in the business of it. Granted, not the greatest at it, but you're still present and you are still developing. And that's what makes you one of the deadliest forces. We have the...
And not only that, but like, I mean, if they really wanted to go down the route of, saying something along like, okay, like, the Americans, we used, let's even say like they said that, we used a Ukrainian drone. Like, we didn't use our own stuff because that would be too obvious, right?
Yeah.
What if, they said, you guys use someone else's as a way to cover your tracks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, maybe. But I don't think it's a good enough explanation to explain why America, hit only with, the smallest possible.
It was a very... I'm sorry, but...
It was tiny.
Unless that was sent from orbit and blew up and partially deteriorated from orbit, that thing was tiny. I'm sorry, I can't imagine America... America must look at that and think, do we do them in fun size?
Yeah, also, I was like,
do we even stock those? I'm sure you can get those in Walmart. What has been the response from American politicians to that accusation?
Quiet. Actually.
Right.
Not quiet in the sense.
Quiet, huh? Okay.
Well, I think, besides the fact that we've basically just come out and said literally no, I don't even think we are, besides our media, right, who is talking about it, there is not a single person who genuinely believes that this is even a potential truth. I mean, there is so... You had the opportunity, right, to, go out and say, oh, yes, well, okay, let's even pretend that... No one is even pretending that this is real. Mm-hmm. You have so few people in the Western world thinking that either Ukraine or America is responsible, that it's almost, laughable.
Can you imagine, right, imagine this. You're in the situation room with Biden, and Biden's gone, after they booted him up, of course, because he's quite slow and dead. Can we send a proportionate response to what, Mr. President? That's him speaking. And they respond with, we could probably get some Chinese fireworks and just launch one across the Atlantic, and it will, by the time it gets there, 'cause it will totally make it, it will ding a roof in Russia. That's how this works. That's physics for you, Mr. President. What will you say to that? And he just replies with,
mm-hmm.
Come on.
I don't think it's even possible that Biden would have had to, tell somebody to do this, right?
Can you imagine him ordering it? What's the lowest yield we have? Oh, hang on, I've got another ad running. Skip that. You can imagine him, sorry, but do you as a country stock something as small as that?
Probably.
Is it is it your absolute last resort when you can't be asked to do any, if you got a trigger and a key you have to apply to send a missile? Is this the one you just go, Oh, there's a little green button here. I wonder what that does.
Probably something along those lines. Certainly, I don't believe
it's the phantom light switch. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does, but something's happening. Apparently, a Russian roof has just taken a barrage of nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like we just like tapped their roof. Like we didn't go for like anything else, really.
Fam, I slap harder than that missile did. Okay, it did sod all right.
Mm.
That was the equivalent to someone taking 2 bits of metal and smashing them into each other to get a little spark. All right, trying to start a fire. You know, come on. I do slap pretty hard, to be fair. Nah, this is terrible. And to think America, like, how it's a cliche response. Oh, we can't. It was Ukraine. With what? They're busy slaughtering your people that you're sending as literal lemmings and target practice without targets strapped to their backs. Okay, it must be the Americans then. Well, of course. Only because we English, we don't bother. The French have the trebuchets, and we don't bother with the catapults anymore because we've still got our cannons that we use as bollards. That's not a joke, by the way. We took literal cannons in London and we buried them in the ground and used them as bollards in the road, or barriers, because we thought of weapons as reusable. It's recycling, yeah. Well, they come up to the right height, so yes, I can lean up against one, and others use them as ashtrays. Literally, a cannon buried in the ground. Think of pirate ship cannon. It's buried in the ground, and then they'll see the cannon parts poking out the top. People actually put their done cigarettes and dump them in there instead. That's what they do. I love it.
So yes, unfortunately or fortunately, no, America was not responsible for the attack on the Kremlin.
What a shame.
So sad.
Yeah, what a shame. I guess we'll need to send what's his name in Mission Impossible? That guy. Ethan Hawke?
Tom Cruise?
Ethan Hunt. That's it. Ethan Hunt. We'll send Ethan Hunt. He'll do it. He went to the Kremlin once. He did a whole face thing.
Sure. But yes, so unfortunately that's a thing. And I mean, the other end, besides it being absolutely laughable, you do have the, well, why did they say that? Well, it's because they want to, up their game and up the ante in the fight. And that is its own problem.
Up their game with what? They're losing everything.
I mean, if they decide they actually want to start launching missiles with a little bit more oomph.
I'll be honest, they're only going to start doing that when they've lost enough people. At that point, they're literally just arming... They may as well be, at this point, just arming Ukraine and saying, right, we've given you all we think you deserve, now let's have a fight. I think it should be simple. I think they should get Vladimir Putin on the front line, just him, in a boxing ring. And on the other side, Vitaly Klitschko, Ukrainian mayor for Kyiv, also former WBC World Heavyweight Boxing Champion. And I think that is a fair fight. Let's see how shaky leg Mr. Guy with the cancer who totally isn't dying but is dying does against Vitaly Klitschko. Vladimir's got a bit of a glass jaw. Vitaly that has a tremendous chin and ridiculously heavy hands. Yes, let's do that. That'll solve the problem. And then they can give Crimea back that I believe Ukraine are trying to take back. Because yes, that's happening.
I think that probably makes sense.
Yeah. You, I believe, may have to go soon. Based on time.
I do.
So I'm going to call it here, if that's okay.
Okay.
Are you here next week?
I am not.
Right, everyone, we have a week off. Yay. We've done 5-6 weeks in a row, though. This will be on Spotify tomorrow. Is there anything you'd like to promote before we finish?
No.
Very well, then. We're going to sod off. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for smashing the like. Actually, that's fantastic. We'll see you in, 2, maybe 3 weeks' time. Say goodnight, Trup.